Howdy folks, well welcome back to the old wood shop. We're coming to you here from the world headquarters down in the basement of the headquarter building, and we're still trying to satisfy that the management board of directors are, they're pretty tough on us laboring guys, and they indicated that we ought to do more show and tell and less wood chips and sawdust and making a mess. So that's what we're going to try and do today. At the last meeting they told me that in reviewing the videos that we've made, it's obvious that the ones where I show finished things score quite a lot higher than the ones where some of that old fat guy just grinds off wood, makes a mess, and sometimes he talks. Half the time you can't understand what he says, and the board just thinks that that's not very accurate. That people don't like that. What people want is to see what happens. Because otherwise, they don't know if the guy can make anything or not. The only thing that he can see him making is a mess. So, anyway, I tried to defend myself and talked about how interesting it was to watch the piece take shape and notice the technique with the tools and some of the advanced design capabilities that we show off here occasionally in the wood shop. And so the board says, well, let's put it to the test. Next time, why don't you, instead of waiting to drink your beer until the end, why don't you drink your beer at the beginning? And then we'll see how many people tune out after the beer's gone. So I thought, well, that might be okay. I thought, shucks, if that is the case, I wish I'd have known that before. Shoot, I could have just turned the camera on and drank a couple of beers, if that's all it takes to satisfy the hundreds of viewers that we have. But I do think that there is something to that. You may be able to see my shirt. This was sent to me by a female fan who shall remain anonymous at this time. But it appears that making beer disappear is something that she thought was one of my special powers. Here I thought it was making wood chips out of little pieces of wood out of bigger pieces. But folks, everybody has a hidden talent, and it's taken me a lot of years to really find this out. But perhaps that'll be something that I can do in my later years. So anyhow, let's get started here. Notice that I have a cold beer, and I have the frosty mug here, and there was one other thing that the management suggested, that I not do any more shotgunning those beers, because they think it makes it's poor image, and heck, I always thought it was a good image. So we're trying to turn over a new leaf here. So here's to you guys, and we'll look at some of these things in a minute. Now you might think that that's not shotgunning it, but let me point out it's only a 12-ounce can, so those are really just one or two good swallows, and you got them gone. So anyway, that's the beer drinking portion of it. So here we are. We got a piece of maple burl, and measures about 12 or 13 inches across. It's about I don't know, 4 or 5 inches deep. Finished with tung oil and some wipe-on polyurethane. It is part of the storm damaged wood, and don't have too much of this left. It's been selling pretty good, so we're gonna put this into the regular inventory. I think this will be a good piece. Other things that we've been working on. Here is a bowl. It's a crab apple. Looks kind of nice, but what I found with these is that the white part, which is the sapwood, it cracks and checks almost every time. There just isn't much you can do with it, and sometimes the cracks are pretty severe. And there's one here that I filled up with glue and sawdust. It didn't look too bad, and I see now after it's set about a week, it's cracked clear through. I can see light through there. So maybe it'll make a good, I don't know what you'd use for it. You might be able to store some of your rocks in it, perhaps. This is another piece of same wood. Actually, it was part of that piece, and I didn't want it that big, so I cut a piece off. And you might remember, this is the project where I was going to make this into a lid for this, and decided that it'd be too darn heavy to lift, so I just made 2 bowls out of it. So other projects. This is a project that this is in progress right now. Just a piece of walnut. It's an end grain turning, which means that this was the log. And I showed, I've done a couple of these, and I showed one to Jeffrey Colbert, and he says, "Oh, Uncle Jim," he says, "that's what Michelangelo did. They're called emerging sculptures, or the bowl, or in Michelangelo's case, I think it's a young boy, is emerging from the rock or from the earth." Well, I never thought of this work as sculpture. I think that's a little. I think that's given a little too much. To me, it's just carving the wood and scraping off until you think that looks about right. So this is kind of the first stab at this piece. I think this is not thin enough. I think I'll come back here after it dries for a couple of days, and I think I'll curve this a little bit more, make it just a little softer, make this a little smaller diameter, and we'll call it an emerging chalice. So it's not the first one I've made, but they turn out pretty good. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll be checking the viewership here and see how the beer drinking did compared with the other parts. Okay, thanks a lot.